Once upon a time, in the bustling market of Kono, the sun shone brightly on the maze of stalls and shops. The air was filled with the smell of spices and the sounds of traders haggling. In the midst of this, a young man named Adamu navigated the crowd. Adamu's life was simple and filled with hard work. Despite having little, he was known for his kindness. Every morning, Adamu woke up at dawn in his small, humble home. He lived with his mother, who had been his only family since his father passed away when he was a child. Together, they barely made ends meet. Adamu worked as a porter in the market, carrying goods for vendors and customers. His earnings were just enough to buy food and cover basic needs. Adamu's mother always reminded him of the importance of kindness and generosity. "We may not have much, but we have each other," she would say. "And we can always share what little we have." Adamu took her words to heart, always willing to help those in need, even if it meant going without himself. One hot afternoon, as Adamu was finishing his day's work, he noticed an elderly beggar sitting by the roadside. The man looked frail and worn, his clothes tattered and his eyes tired. Adamu felt sympathy and decided to approach him. "Here," Adamu said, offering the old man his last few naira. "It's not much, but I hope it helps." The beggar looked up, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, young man. May your kindness be returned to you tenfold," he said, his voice weak but sincere. Adamu smiled and nodded, feeling warmth spread through his chest. He continued his way home, thinking about how a small act of kindness could make a difference in someone's life. Little did he know, this encounter would change his life forever. Later that day, as Adamu was packing up to leave the market, a large man approached him. The man introduced himself as Boko, a bodyguard, and asked Adamu to follow him. Suspicious but curious, Adamu followed Boko through the winding streets to a grand compound. Inside, Adamu was led to a luxurious room where the elderly beggar, now dressed in fine traditional garments, awaited him. Adamu's eyes widened in shock and confusion. "Welcome, Adamu," the old man said with a smile. "My name is Malem Rabiu. I am not a beggar, but a wealthy textile merchant. I disguised myself to find someone with a kind heart." Adamu stood frozen, trying to process the revelation. Malem Rabiu gestured for Adamu to sit down. "I have spent my life accumulating wealth, but in doing so, I missed out on truly living. I have no family, no friends, only regrets. I wanted to find someone who understood the value of kindness, someone who could help me experience the joys of life I never had." Adamu listened intently. "What do you want from me?" he asked cautiously. Malem Rabiu leaned forward, his eyes earnest. "I want to offer you an unusual job. Experience the joys of life that I never had and share those experiences with me. In return, I will provide for all your needs." Adamu's mind was filled with doubts and questions. Could he trust this man? What if it was all a trick? Yet, the sincerity in Malem Rabiu's eyes and the generous offer were hard to ignore. "But why me?" he asked. "I'm just a poor man from the market. Why not someone else?" Malem Rabiu's eyes softened. "Because you have a good heart, Adamu. You have the spirit and kindness that I have seen too rarely in my life. I chose you because you deserve a chance to see the world and experience what I could not." After a long pause, Adamu nodded. "I'll do it." The next morning, Malem Rabiu presented Adamu with fine traditional garments and a gold wristwatch. "These are not just gifts," Malem Rabiu explained. "They are symbols of the new path you will walk. Wear them with pride and let them remind you of the experiences you are about to embrace." Adamu felt a surge of emotions, gratitude, excitement, and a lingering sense of trepidation. He knew that accepting these gifts meant committing to the journey ahead. Boko escorted Adamu through the grand gates of Malem Rabiu's compound, and as they stepped outside, Adamu felt a profound sense of transformation. The bustling streets of Kono now appeared through a different lens. He was no longer just a laborer eking out a living, he was a young man on the edge of a remarkable journey. Adamu's first task was to walk through the market in his new attire. As he moved through the crowds, people stopped and stared, some with admiration, others with curiosity. He felt the eyes of traders and passers-by following him, and for the first time, he experienced what it felt like to be noticed and respected. The market, which once seemed like a place of unending toil, now felt vibrant and full of possibilities. Adamu returned to Malem Rabiu and described the day's events. The old man listened with a wistful smile. You see, Adamu, wealth can open doors and change how people see you. But it is also fleeting. What matters is how you use it. Mallam Rabiu then gave Adamu his next task, to approach a beautiful young woman named Zainab, who worked at a tea stall in the market. Years ago, Mallam Rabiu had admired a young woman from afar but never spoke to her, a regret that haunted him. Adamu, despite his newfound confidence, felt nervous. He found Zainab at the stall, serving tea to customers. Gathering his courage, he approached her. Good afternoon, Zainab, Adamu began. My name is Adamu. May I have a cup of tea? Zainab smiled and began to prepare the tea. As she worked, Adamu started to talk. He told her about his benefactor, Mallam Rabiu, and the unusual job he had been given. He shared the older man's regrets and desires through his own perspective. Zainab listened intently, her skepticism giving way to intrigue. By the time she handed him the cup of tea, they were deep in conversation, sharing stories and laughter. When Adamu returned to Mallam Rabiu's compound, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He recounted the encounter with Zainab, describing the nervousness and excitement, the joy of making a new connection. Mallam Rabiu listened with a wistful smile. Thank you, Adamu. You have given me a glimpse of what could have been. Days turned into weeks, and Adamu continued to fulfill Mallam Rabiu's wishes. He attended cultural festivals, visited places of natural beauty, and experienced the richness of life. Each experience added a new dimension to his understanding of the world and his place within it. As Adamu embraced these new experiences, he began to undergo a transformation. He gained confidence and a sense of purpose that had been absent in his life before. The fine garments and gold wristwatch became part of his identity, reflecting the inner changes he was experiencing. One particularly poignant experience involved revisiting an old football field. Mallam Rabiu took Adamu there and recounted a moment when he missed a game-winning shot, a regret that had lingered in his heart for decades. I want you to relive that moment for me, Adamu. Make the shot that I couldn't, Mallam Rabiu said, his voice trembling with emotion. Adamu practiced tirelessly. After several attempts, he finally made the shot, sending the ball soaring into the goal. Mallam Rabiu's face lit up with joy and relief. You did it, Adamu. You gave me closure, Mallam Rabiu said, his voice choked with emotion. Emboldened by his successes, Adamu decided to reconnect with Zainab. However, when he returned to the market, he discovered that she had left her job. His attempts to contact her proved futile. Frustration and a sense of betrayal began to fester within him. Feeling used and manipulated, Adamu confronted Mallam Rabiu. Was this all just a game to you? Did you get some pleasure out of watching me struggle? Mallam Rabiu, weakened and frail, looked at Adamu with sorrowful eyes. I am dying, Adamu. My time is running out. I wanted to experience life through you, to correct my mistakes vicariously. I never meant to hurt you. Adamu's anger began to melt away, replaced by sadness. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to burden you with my pain, Mallam Rabiu replied. But you have given me more than you know. You have shown me what it means to live, to connect, and to love. For that, I am eternally grateful. Mallam Rabiu's words struck a chord in Adamu. He realized that despite the challenges, he had gained invaluable experiences and insights. He had learned to face his fears, embrace new opportunities, and value the connections he made. With renewed determination, Adamu decided to find Zainab. He searched the city tirelessly, asking everyone he knew if they had seen her. Days turned into weeks, but he refused to give up. One evening, as the sun set over Kono, Adamu finally found Zainab. She was working at a small bookstore, her face lighting up with surprise and joy when she saw him. Adamu. What are you doing here? She asked, her eyes sparkling. I've been looking for you, Adamu replied, his voice filled with relief. I wanted to apologize for not explaining everything earlier. I hope we can start over. Zainab smiled warmly. I'd like that, Adamu. Let's take it one step at a time. As Adamu and Zainab began to rebuild their friendship, Mallam Rabiu's health declined rapidly. On his deathbed, he called Adamu to his side. You have given me more than I ever imagined. I leave everything I have to you. Use it wisely, and continue to live a life filled with kindness and generosity. With tears in his eyes, Adamu promised to honor Merlem Rabiu's wishes. As he watched the old man take his last breath, he felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey they had shared. Adamu's life was forever changed. He used Merlem Rabiu's wealth to improve the lives of those in his community, just as his mother had taught him. He and Zainab grew closer, and their bond deepened into love. In the end, Adamu realized that true wealth lay not in material possessions, but in the connections we make and the kindness we share. And so, the young man who once toiled in the market became a beacon of hope and generosity, leaving a lasting legacy that would be remembered for generations. The end. Thank you for watching the story. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting and captivating stories like this one, and hit the bell icon so that you never miss any update. We love to hear your thoughts about the story in the comment below. Thanks again for watching.